Hello. This is Antje from Byte Shuffle. Thank you for always watching our videos. This time, I've put together a guide on how to navigate the matchup against UW control when playing Doomsday, including thoughts on sideboarding strategies. There's also a link to the pile breakdown video in the description, so feel free to check it out. Here is the deck list we will be using this time. Looking back, I feel like it might have been better to fetch an island and then search for Doomsday with personal tutor. I would have kept the hand if the lands were in a different combination, but I'm going to mulligan. I put the dual land and street wraith on the bottom. I'll use discard to check what's ahead. I wasn't really planning to fight over their counter, but since there's a chance our Quantum Riddler could play a key role, I'm going to use Force of Will and try to push through. I'll counter it with Force of Will. Tamiyo's ability is 2. I'm casting it for its warp cost. Tamiyo's ability is 2. I'll use discard to check what's ahead. I took out Force of Will. My opponent used Tamiyo's ability to retrieve Brainstorm. I'll search for Doomsday. Tamiyo's ability is 2. I'm going all in. From here. I'm not sure if my opponent is running Wasteland, my understanding of their archetype isn't solid enough to make that call. Also, since Tamiyo is on the battlefield and there's a chance they could retrieve a hard counter from the graveyard, I'm including Cavern of Souls in the pile as insurance. I want to speed up the pile, so I'm including a Cycler. As for the choice of Cycler, if Quantum Riddler gets answered, the pile becomes slower, so I went with Edge of Autumn as a Cycler since it doesn't cost any life. Since they're likely running Consigned to Memory and Dress down in the main deck, I'm bringing in a second Thassa's Oracle and Duress. I built the pile in the following order: Thassa's Oracle, Cavern of Souls, Thassa's Oracle, Edge of Autumn, Duress. Tamiyo's ability is 2. I'll use discard to check what's ahead. I took out Swords to Plowshares. Using the Cycler here was a complete mistake. Before sideboarding, I'd like to review the list we used. First, the conclusion. I will explain it step by step. Here are the actual sideboard ins and outs I made during the game. Since my understanding of the opponent's archetype was incomplete, I included Tamiyo Inquisitive Student. But I don't think it was necessary in this matchup, so I believe this setup would have been better. First, I'd like to take a look at how the opponent's deck operates. My opponent plays Philia Exuberant Shepherd onto the battlefield. They play cards like Quantum Riddler and Dress Down, cards that generate advantage when they enter the battlefield. With Philia's ability, they can exile their own cards and bring them back to the battlefield to gain additional value. Alternatively, Philia can exile permanents from the opponent's battlefield. After that, the deck's main strategy is to respond to Philia's return from exile trigger with Consigned to Memory, keeping the targeted permanent exiled permanently. Now, let's get into the main topic. In UW control, these are the cards that can affect Doomsday. First, there are various counterspells such as Force of Will, Force of Negation, Consigned to Memory, Flusterstorm, Minor Misstep, and Sink into Stupor. To deal with those, I bring in cards like Flusterstorm, Duress, and Extirpate, In exchange, I take out cards like Edge of Autumn, Personal Tutor, Cabal Ritual, and Lotus Petal. This matchup often turns into an exchange of disruption spells, which slows the game down considerably. That's why the number of cards focused on speed is reduced in this matchup. Next, the deck includes planeswalkers such as Tameo Inquisitive Student and Teferi Time Reveler, giving the opponent a stronger setup for the long game. There's also Dress Down and Clarion Conqueror. These cards can neutralize the effect of Thassa's Oracle. To deal with these cards, I bring in Long Goodbye. Lastly, there's Surgical Extraction. It can be difficult to play around it completely, but I've covered some ways to handle it in the pile explanation video linked in the description, so feel free to check it out if you're interested. I'm looking for a faster hand, so I'll take a mulligan. I put Lion's Eye Diamond on the bottom. I'm going all in. From here, I'll increase the mana needed for the combo. Surprisingly, it didn't get countered. It's possible that my opponent intentionally chose not to use a counterspell on Doomsday. I included Cavern of Souls in the pile to prepare for the possibility that they had more counterspells than expected. At the very least, it seems likely that my opponent has multiple copies of Dress Down or Consigned to Memory in hand. I'm putting 2 copies of Thoughtseize into the pile. After using the first Thoughtseize to scout ahead, the second one might end up being unnecessary, so I'll keep that in mind and adjust the pile accordingly. I built the pile in the following order: Cavern of Souls, Thassa's Oracle, Thoughtseize, Consider Thoughtseize. I'll use Discard to check what's ahead. Surveil's effect sends it to the graveyard. Since there's nothing else to do, I'll reduce the number of cards in the pile. I name Wizard with Cavern of Souls. My opponent used Tameo's ability to retrieve Minor Misstep. I'll use Discard to check what's ahead. I'll counter it with Daze. I'll counter it with Daze. I took out Back to Basics. I win with Thassa's Oracle. Thank you for watching up to this point. I apologize for the many play mistakes. I hope to improve at MTG together with everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel and giving it a thumbs up. See you next time. This is Antya.